If I started talking to you about LinkedIn, what would your initial reaction be? Probably a little bit of a groan, a little, like, I don't want to deal with LinkedIn. It is cringy, it's performative, it's fake, it's just like corporate BS, it's corporate social media, and I don't really want to deal with another platform or have something else to keep up with. These are all things that I've thought myself, that I've had friends, clients, like plenty of people feel the same way. So, what do we do about that when LinkedIn is still so needed in today's job market? Unfortunately, it's just like it's the platform that dominates when it comes to jobs, careers. It is still really needed. It has a valuable place in the job market today. So why is that though? Like what's the data around LinkedIn usage? Two facts that may help you realize that LinkedIn still has a place. 72% of recruiters use LinkedIn to hire talent. That is the majority of recruiters. That's a lot of people out there who are responsible for bringing talent into the hiring pipeline that are using LinkedIn. And then also, 6 people per minute are hired from LinkedIn. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. That's like one person every 10 seconds is offered a job because of LinkedIn. So, how can we make LinkedIn less insufferable? Here are my 4 tips for using LinkedIn without spending too much energy and effort on it, because you really can still use LinkedIn to your advantage in your job search, in your career, without making it this whole big project. My first tip is, much like a slow cooker, crock pot, set it and forget it. You could do this one tip and then don't do anything else I said, and you would still be using the platform and you would still see results from it. What I mean by set it and forget it is update your profile and then walk away. You don't have to use it again. Make sure that your experience and your education sections are updated and that they match your resume. You can literally just copy and paste the bullet points into those experience and education descriptions. Some people say that you shouldn't do that. I don't really understand why, because that's the best thing you can do. That's the easiest, the simplest thing you can do. Once your experience and education section is updated, go ahead and update your headline. So a lot of people make this mistake where they let their headline default to their most recent job title and company. So it'll say like title at company. And I recommend that you don't do that. I recommend that you actually customize your headline. You can lead with your title. So maybe you're a graphic designer, you could put graphic designer. Maybe you're a virtual assistant, you could put virtual assistant. And then you can use divider lines, which you can literally type on your keyboard, or you can use bullet points or some sort of separator, even emojis, and then insert other keywords. So you could put graphic designer, separator, branding identity, separator, UX design, separator, whatever those main keywords that describe the work that you do or the sort of overall skills, experiences, results that you bring to the table. The reason I recommend that you customize your headline is twofold. One, it makes sure that when people are finding your profile, that's essentially like your elevator pitch. Like you can get a really quick idea of the skills that you bring to the table and of the experiences and things that you have, right? And then secondly, when recruiters are searching for folks on their side of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has their own recruiting tool, when you get those search results, you actually see kind of like a Google result, you see a preview. So you see like the person's name, so they'll see your name, they'll see your headline, and then they see the most recent job you were in. And so that's why I don't recommend that you let the headline default to the most recent job, because then in the results, they're seeing your name, your most recent job headline, and then they see your most recent job again. So it's kind of redundant, but if you customize your headline, you get a chance to add in more of those keywords, key skills, and so it'll be really easy for them to see you and say, oh, great, this person is what we're looking for because I can very quickly see what they're about. It's almost like a hook, like an elevator pitch, a hook. So you're catching their attention enough that they'll want to look through your profile, or maybe you applied for the position and they've looked at your resume and they're checking out your profile. It makes you easy to find. I've even had my own clients where I go to search for their LinkedIn and I can't find them because maybe they have a common name or there's other people who have similar names. But if their headline is updated, then I can be like, oh, this is Rachel, designer, and I know I have the right person because I know that my client Rachel is a designer. So once your experience and your education is updated, you've updated your headline, go ahead and update your about section. And so this is basically like sharing a little bit about your career story. You can take your history and just kind of share, most recently I was with this company and this is what I did, this is what I learned. Before that, I was here. Before that, I was here. You don't have to share your whole history. Like if you have a 5 to 10 plus year career, you're not going to want to get into everything, but just the high level stuff that really relates to what you want to do next. You can also include more like personal stuff. Like that's a really good chance to bring your personality through, especially for my creative folks. If you're a writer, it's a really good time to like showcase your writing skills, pull people in, get them interested in your story. But you can keep it simple too. Like you could even use ChatGPT for this, just putting in like, here's my resume, ChatGPT. Here's a couple extra things to know about me. Maybe you volunteer, maybe there's a specific thing you're passionate about, maybe there's something you're learning that isn't necessarily directly related to your job, but you want to include it, and then have it write a short about section for you. And then you could leave it there. Like if your headline and your experience sections and your about section is updated, you could literally like do that and then never open the platform again. When I talk about update your LinkedIn, that is all I mean is update your profile. It's kind of like your personal business website just on LinkedIn. So by updating those things, it's going to help you be more searchable. It will help to, if you are using LinkedIn as a job searching tool, which we'll talk about later, having an updated profile will actually get you more accurate results when like LinkedIn is giving you their recommended jobs. If you want to use the platform a little bit more, then proceed to the next couple steps in this video. And again, like all of these steps, take what works and leave the rest. These are just some simple ways that you can utilize LinkedIn without like burning yourself out or using a platform that you're not super interested in. So it's kind of like the bare minimum is step one. So step two is to add new relevant connections. This is like adding friends or following people on other platforms. LinkedIn calls them connections. So there's two different ways you can connect with people. You can literally add them as a connection, in which case if they were to accept, then you would be connected to each other. Or you can follow people, which is like a one-way connection. You get to see their posts, but they don't get to see yours unless they follow you back or unless you actually, one of you adds each other as a connection. So I recommend looking for two types of people. One is any type of hiring person in your field of work. You can think about like who would be your like potential future boss. So if you're a marketing coordinator, connect with marketing managers, marketing directors. If you're a graphic designer, then you might be connecting with senior graphic designers. You might be connecting with art directors, creative directors. You might be connecting with even like creative project managers sometimes are involved in hiring. So these are just like those people that are involved in hiring, that they might be posting open jobs, and connect with them. You don't have to add a connection note. And actually LinkedIn is potentially, I think if they haven't already, they will be rolling out some sort of limit to the amount of personalized notes you can add in your connection request. Thoughts and feelings about that, but that's for another video. But again, like you can literally just add them. If they don't accept, then whatever, but that way you're expanding your network with people who are relevant to your industry. With that, I would also add people who are just like in your field and industry, in the type of work that you do, or maybe they are adjacent to your work. So again, using a graphic design example, if you're a designer, maybe you add copywriters, maybe you add content creators, maybe you add project managers, project coordinators, you add UX designers, just again, like people kind of in your general like world. If you're in marketing, maybe you add other marketing people. If you work in development, maybe you add product managers, product owners, things like that. If you think about like a team that you've worked with before, who did you work with the most? Who did you connect with a lot, or like you worked on similar projects, you were in meetings together? Add those people. And the reason that that helps, again, is that it's expanding your network. And so if you do use LinkedIn to look for jobs, then you're going to see more of those relevant posts in your feed. Because LinkedIn's, the way that it works, like the way that they actually get posts out there is pretty interesting. It has a really powerful algorithm, but also it kind of reminds me of Facebook, where if you comment on someone's post, their followers will see your comment, and then your followers will see your comment, and then their like connections will see it. And so it just has this really wide reach, and that's beneficial to you because if you connect with more people in your field, more hiring leaders, more people who kind of work near what you do, there's a better chance that you'll see more job postings, not just on LinkedIn, but sometimes people just post that they're hiring without actually posting the job to LinkedIn, if you understand what I'm saying. We talked about LinkedIn being full of like cringy posts, of clickbait, of bragging, and it's like very performative. So number 3, curate your feed. No matter what, I highly recommend you curate your feed. So I would remove connections or block anyone that you don't resonate with. I used to be a recruiter for a staffing agency, and so with that, I ended up having a ton of connections, and like people would add me and I just wouldn't even check their profile. I would just say, sure, like you can connect with me, whatever. And then over the years, there'd be people who pop up and they just make these like really unhinged posts that don't align with me from a values perspective, or they're cringy, or they just like give me the ick. I removed them and then they don't show up on my feed anymore. I think I even blocked a small amount of them that just were like, I don't really want to be associated with you. I don't want to see what you have to say. I don't really care what you have to say. So yes, remove connections, block people if you're like, I don't like this vibe. As you're removing people, add more people that you do enjoy, that you actually have a positive experience with. You could even also follow companies that you resonate with, and that people and companies that post about the things that you care about. So I filled my feed with other ADHDers and autistic folks, companies who focus on accessibility and who have really solid, equitable, and inclusive employment and hiring practices. And so now I do see the occasional cringy post, most likely not because one of my connections posted it, but because maybe one of my connections interacted with the post and it shows up. But for the most part, my feed is filled with people who align with my own values, with my own approach, with the things that I care about. And there's a lot less cringiness and just like gross content that I see on my feed. And so I highly recommend that you curate who you're connected with on LinkedIn. My final tip is to use LinkedIn as a job searching tool. So LinkedIn, as we talked about earlier, is still one of the top used job boards for a lot of industries. I recommend that you still use LinkedIn to search for jobs and check out like their postings pretty regularly. And then again, like you don't need to be super involved in the platform, but you can use it as a job board. Maybe one day there will be a different career-based social platform that feels less cringy and is less full of like influencers and clickbait and fake stories and all of that. But right now, we don't have that. Right now, LinkedIn is still the main platform that hiring teams use for looking for talent. Hopefully, some of these tips will help you. Again, even if you just stick with number 1, set it and forget it. A little story for you. So I have a client who really didn't like LinkedIn. I mean, most of the clients I work with, like, they say the same things. They don't like LinkedIn. We worked together. I helped update her profile. We updated her headline, about section, experience section. I wrote some of those parts for her because that's part of what I do as a career coach. I'm not exaggerating, and I have receipts for this. Within a week, maybe a week and a half of us completely overhauling her LinkedIn, she wasn't really using it. She just updated her profile. A recruiter reached out to her about a job that she was really excited about. It was the exact kind of job that she was searching for. This recruiter reached out because they were like, your profile fits what we're looking for. Do you want to set up an interview? She interviewed for the job. Within 3 weeks of that initial outreach, which was within a month of us updating her LinkedIn, she got the job, and she's literally starting next week. She is now working for one of the best companies to work for. Like, this company has been rated one of the top companies to work for as far back as I can remember, like 10 years or more. And it's the exact job that she wants. And she didn't apply to it. Like, the recruiter came to her because we had optimized and updated her profile. There's a time and a place to use LinkedIn. It doesn't need to suck up all your time. It doesn't have to be a platform that you have to post to. There's some tips out there that say, like, oh, you should post to LinkedIn. You should, like, engage with posts. You should, should. You don't have to do any of that. If you have an updated profile, it's reflective of, like, your experience and aligns with your career goals, you don't have to post shit. You don't have to do anything other than to set it and forget it and let the opportunities come to you. Maybe use the platform in the way that you like to use it for job boards, to connect with people that you actually resonate with, disconnect and block the rest, and then you're set. It doesn't have to be like a whole project. Let me know what other LinkedIn questions you have. Did this resonate with you? Do you also hate LinkedIn? Let me know if you tried any of these tips. I would love to hear from you. I'm here to help.